House to Home, brought to you by Remax Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, let me tell you a story. You live on Guam, you're as happy as a clam, you've got some sort of property, but then for whatever reason, you may get a better job, your kids go to college and you want to follow them, you're in the military and you get reassigned somewhere else, and you have to move. Is there any way that you could keep your property on Guam and hopefully make money off of it by possibly leasing it to somebody else while you are away from our island paradise? This is House to Home, and we go to Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty, hopefully for some definitive answer. So ladies, half a day.
Half a day.
Okay, so let's talk about that, and we'll start with you, Gina, because I know this is something that you're very knowledgeable about, both of you, obviously. But if I, like I said, one of those hypothetical situations, if for whatever reason I relocated, could I keep my property here and be somebody else's landlord remotely?
Yeah, if you've got the stomach for it, absolutely. And I say that because, you know, being a landlord, it takes some getting used to. Some people, some people just can't, it's stressful for them. Mm-hmm. All the issues that come along and the responsibilities that come along with being a landlord, some people get stressed out by it, but you can certainly do that. And there's a lot of options where you can put yourself into that situation and handle it remotely, and it works out great.
And that can still stay as an investment for you, and you can have like a tenant there that will be paying you rent, and everything's pretty good. And you're still making money off that. You
should be, but you kind of have to set yourself up in advance so that you know you're going to make money. There's a lot of things that we recommend. First of all, the house should be ready for the rental market before you actually start showing it. There's a checklist of things that we can provide to the homeowner. You need to check to make sure your loan allows you to do that, because there are some loans that are restrictive in nature. So depending on your loan, you need to take a look at that. But if you call a real estate professional, we can guide you. But absolutely, you can become a landlord, make some money. You don't need to sell the property. Perhaps you're looking at coming back.
Mm-hmm. Well, Liz, as a real estate professional, if someone is interested like myself, and I'm toying with the idea of becoming a landlord, like Gina said, it can be stressful depending on the type of tenant you have and how much, drama they have, and how much they expect of you. What is the reasonable amount of responsibility I could have as a landlord as far as, taking care of my
bottom
property?
line, it's your property. And what you could do is hire a property manager. Our office has dedicated professionals who handle property management, and they're on board. They do it's 24/7. So you as an owner will turn it over to a property manager, for example, and that property manager is responsible for the day-to-day check of that property. If a tenant comes in, they would check them in, make sure everything is working prior to the tenant's occupancy, and then if repairs are required, they're on call. They handle every aspect of the repairs that are needed for that particular home. Of course, there are limitations. The contract might state that up to $250 in repairs. So if something breaks and it costs $500, that property manager has to call you to say, hey, Jason, I need your approval. The plumbing costs $1,000. Mm-hmm. I need your approval to get this repair done. So you're still in control. The property manager is basically there to service the account, take care of the tenant, and make sure everything is in place.
And Gina, I'm assuming that as the landlord, the onus of responsibility falls on me if there are any disputes between the property manager and my tenant. If they say, well, I thought the repairs to be made were only $300, and now this guy's saying, they're going to be $600 and everything, and now they get into like some sort of back and forth. So is it up to me to resolve that conflict?
Yeah, if you're going to go the route of hiring a property manager, then what the property manager normally should do is make sure you're in the loop for anything that happens. Mm. And that way, if there's a dispute that comes up, the bottom line is, yes, it's always the owner's responsibility. The property belongs to the owner. The owner's responsible to make sure that the tenant's happy, to make sure they've hired a good property manager, to make sure the home is well kept. So at the end of the day, everything stops with the owner.
Now, we don't want to dissuade anybody from pursuing this kind of business, because this is quite good, but I guess let's backpedal for a minute, Liz. How many people on Guam currently have the sort of arrangement where they live away from Guam and yet they continue to serve as landlords?
Well, right now we have over 200 properties that we're managing.
Wow.
Yes, we have.
So it is a good market.
It's a good market. However, it again, the owner has is the bottom line. Everything, the buck stops with the owner. On Guam, what we do is we usually have an agent that handles the leasing of the property. So as a listing agent, that agent is copied in on all communications between the owner, the property manager, to make sure everything's in place, because that agent, represents the owner as well. But again, so when the unit is vacant, that agent steps in and places the property on the market.
And if I'm a landlord, how much am I going to pay to your company to avail of the services of a property manager?
The standard fee is 8 to 10% of the rents we collect. But
That's really good.
It's reasonable.
That's fantastic, actually.
It's reasonable
Yeah.
for 24/7 service. But we're talking about landlords leaving the island. I have a lot of landlords that live in Guam. They're here. They just don't have the patience nor the desire to have to deal with management on a day-to-day level. So
Or the time, maybe. Yeah. They may be doing something else.
A lot of the people I run into, they don't have the desire. They just can't do it anymore for one reason or another. I mean, really, property management is stressful. Only time we hardly have tenants who call to just say, I'm really happy, everything is going great, and I just wanted to call to tell you that. Usually they're calling for problems.
Yeah.
And so, owners, after a while.
My aircon doesn't work.
Yeah. And so after a while, if you've lost your patience for that type of conversation, then you really should turn it over to somebody.
Right.
Well, and as you've said many times, your company prides itself on delivering quality customer service. So.
And the other thing we stress to the owner, preventative. So when we go in, we do our inspection, we make sure the property is, it meets all the requirements for inspection, for let's say a military inspector or for government inspection. So we want to make sure everything is in order, and then if there are issues, we'll point them out and hopefully get them repaired prior to the tenant's occupancy. And then during the course of the occupancy, we can, things crop up. We try to address those issues as they happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was really informative. I'm sure we're going to talk about this more in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, yet another reason why you should take your business to RE/MAX Diamond Realty, 8 to 10%.
Reasonable.
Yeah, extremely reasonable. Then, plus all the money you're making off of that, off your tenant, and then, the overhead you have, you got a really good profit margin. Think about it. We'll be back right after this.